Okay, so let's get started developing our demo app and kind of run through some different features and how to program how things connect with Android Studio. Run the executable, and I'm going to go ahead and start a new Android Studio project. And I'm going to name this one Demo Apps because I'm going to create quite a few. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it my domain as is. There is something to posting it as an actual domain if you wanted to post these to the Google Play Store. I'll go over that stuff a little bit later. But default location's all good. I have installed with my install, the earliest version is Ice Cream Sandwich API 14, so I'm going to leave it there. You could go with whatever earliest version you have here. If it's 15, that's fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go next here. With the activity template I'm going to use, these are the activity templates I explained quickly in the slideshow that come with Android Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and use the basic activity with just a button. All right, the main activity, I'm going to leave the name of that, but the title, I'm going to change this to Demo Apps. All right, and go ahead and click Finish. So what happens is, it happened really quick actually, so it builds some XML pieces and Java just to start you off. And this is the XML that's connected, and the Java that's connected to a very basic Hello World type of app. And if you ran this in your device, this is basically what you would see. If you don't see the preview, in Android Studio, this is the default layout. I haven't really changed anything other than I did change the look of this to be, let's see, the Dracula look, as far as having it look a little bit darker with the appearance. So I chose the Dracula theme. You could choose IntelliJ or Windows. I kind of like the darker theme. It's kind of easier on my eyes. So other than that, you're going to have everything will be pretty much laid out this way. You have your project files inside the app folder. You have Java pieces here. This is where my main activity Java file is that we're going to be working on. Not going to access these. Inside the resolution folder, the res folder, you have a layout, and here's the activity main and the content main. So this is where we're going to spend most of the time in the introduction right here. All right. I have already connected my Android device, and all I have to do is play. When I play it, it shows up here as a connected device, and I click OK. At home, you can use a device, or you can go through and create a virtual machine, a virtual device, so you can emulate what's going to happen. But in class, we're going to be using the Android tablets that we have. All right. You'll see there's a preview. It's kind of out of my record screen here. So when you click that, you get to see kind of what it would look like on the device itself. All right. In the XML, there is a design layout, and so by default, I think this little palette was collapsed, so you can click on it. This is very similar to App Inventor. For those that have used it, you have some common palette items that you can just click and drag into your development scene or your view here, and then you can, from there, if you don't see the attributes, this is also sometimes hidden over here by default. It's collapsed, so you want to click on attributes, and from there you can see the ID names, if there are ID names, different things like that. All right, so we'll spend a little bit of time working with things in the design view, and also a little bit of time working with things from the text view. Okay, so I already tested it, And that's the first thing you want to do is test your device, make sure it comes up, and basically it should run. Here, what you don't see on the screen is it has the title of my main activity, which is demo apps, and says hello world. Alright, so that's pretty much it. We're going to add a few more things just to demo. So what I'm going to do for this demo, first one is just create a simple random number generator. We're going to use a random number generator for a couple of the other demos, so makes kind of sense to go ahead and show you that right now. So I'm going to go a little bit into the design view here, and I'm going to move this. Oops, I don't want to change the size necessarily, but I do want to move it kind of up in the middle of the scene. Alright, and I'm going to give it an ID, and this will be okay, random result is what I'm going to type. Label that as the ID, and by default text it says hello world currently. I'm going to say random number. Alright, or random num. That'll be my default text. Alright, so you can change the size of this or some of these different things here. And there are some things you can do with the layout, stuff like that. But currently I'm just going to kind of have it the way it is. Stop messing with it. Okay, so that's going to be good enough for that. Next thing I want to do is create a button, and I'm going to just kind of drag that out right below the random number. And this one I'm going to label random BTN. I normally label my buttons BTN. And then here I'm just going to say get random. So when you click on get random, ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to display a random number in the text box here. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. One thing I would like to point out is as you build, if you're building in the design view, you can also click on the text view and you'll see in the XML where it has added those things. So here's my text view, which used to say hello world. Now it says random num. You can change things here and it'll update in your preview, or you can change it in the design view. So they're both kind of connected. You see that there are IDs for each one of these. So I have an ID for my random button and an ID for the random result. I want to add one thing to this guy so that I can get the connection between the button and the text view. So I'm going to type Android. And let's see, layout. And bottom. Okay, I was going to add another attribute to the button, but decided to just going to leave it the way it is. So I have get random button here, and then I have the text layout on this side. Okay, so the next step is I need to go to my Java file and make the connection between the XML and the design layout. So I'm going to go ahead to go to main activity.java, and I need to add a couple of class variables. I'm going to type this out. I'm going to pause the video real quick because I don't want this to be too lengthy, but I'll pause the video and then type some information. I'll talk about it. Okay, so I created 3 different class variables, one for the text view, one for the button, and one for a random object. I'm going to use the random class to generate my random numbers. Alright, so these are just declared. I need to initialize them in the onCreate method, which is the first method on top here. So I'm going to go down to the last statement, and then I'll add a couple of comments and go ahead and assign these variables. Okay, so I've already typed the first one. I'm setting the text view variable, which is labeled random result, and equal to going to find this element in my view. Find the view by ID. So you're going to type r.id and then list the ID that you have written here in the text view. So these have to match spelling and case sensitive. So it's all has to be exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one here. Set the button. So I have random button. r.id random btn. Alright, so those are all set, and then the last one is to instantiate the random object here. So random num is going to be equal to a new random, just like that. Alright, so those are all set. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a method that will run when I click on the button. Alright, so I decided to add just a message that's going to pop up and greet the user, just to welcome them to. So this is right under the instantiation and the assignment of all my variables here. The command is to use the toast class and make text. This is going to be like kind of a small pop-up on your device. And what I need to do is make sure I have the imports for this. Alright, so the import for the toast class is, you have to expand your imports up here, most likely. It's android.widget.toast. This allows you to kind of display, like I said, a little pop-up on your device. And you can write whatever message you like there. Okay, so my next step is I'm going to create a method to generate my random number. So I'll just call it getRandom. The view, you need to select here and just create a variable for the view. I'm just going to type view there. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of things here. One, you can always type another toast message just to test this out, or basically just change the text result. But the first thing I want to do is to generate a random number. So I have my variable random. So I'm going to set that equal to oops, I actually need a local variable here real quick. Int num. Set that equal to random num dot next int, and then I'm just going to choose a number from 0 to 6. Alright, so that should work out. Alright, so I'm almost out of time on my video, so I want to do this real quick. So the next step is you have random result, which is the text view, and I'm going to be setting the text equal to the, I'm going to concatenate a blank string to the value of my random number. Alright, so that's it for the Java. Let's go ahead and save that. I need to go back to my layout here, and on my button I need to add Android on click, and what I'm looking for is the name of my method, so getRandom. Alright, so I'm going to test this out and see if it works. Okay, so that worked out for me. Go ahead and give that a try, and you can add a few other things for this first demo. Okay.